Did you just reach a Space Cadet rank and feel like you're a little bit lost or missing some crucial information? Or maybe your Admiral is disappointed in your performance on the battlefield? If you feel like you checked at least one of those points, then I have a few tips for newer Helldivers 2 players that might help you rid these beautiful planets of bugs and robots and spread democracy way beyond our galaxy. Also, I do not believe in spreading generic tips that should fit other players too.
The election is coming up. Even in the midst of war, managed democracy stands strong.
Anyway, I wanted to make this video from my own experience, because if I ran into something I didn't fully understand at first, then there's definitely gonna be other people who felt the same. Alright, let's go. So the first thing that you might have heard already is changing your WASD keys for stratagems to arrow keys. To do that, you go to Options, down to Mouse and Keyboard, change bindings, go down until you see Stratagem. Under it, there will be 4 key bindings for up, down, left, and right. Set those to your arrow keys, and now you can run and call in stratagems at the same time. In high-risk situations, this basically lets you to run and gun it when there's like a million bugs swarming you. You don't need to stop moving, keep running, hold your control, and just keep pressing your arrow keys. I realized that a lot of people don't understand that you can wait for enemy patrols to pass by and prone behind rocks or trees by pressing Z to not get seen. On the planets, there are usually 2 types of enemies. One's guarding the area and one's patrolling. Sadly, I realized that I actually do not have the footage to showcase this exact scenario, but I hope you get the gist of it. And if you're not attacking some kind of an objective and simply passing by, you might want to be careful of those patrols, especially on higher difficulties, because there's little enemies that can call in reinforcements whenever you start shooting them. So what you can do to avoid that is to lie down and wait for them to pass by. You do not usually need to fight. And if you suddenly start fighting, well, be prepared for a bot drop or a bug breach. This tip is about how many samples you can actually find in the missions. I feel kind of stupid for saying it, but I only realized this about 20 or 30 hours in the game. So if you've played for some time, you know that when you press Control, you can see the whole map. At the top right corner, you can actually see how many samples there are scattered around the map. To be honest, this gives you a real good idea if you should look for more or if you should just go straight for the extraction. Also, I feel like I should mention it. When you reach higher difficulties, you will find this, PP-shaped rock, which will have those super samples everyone's been screaming about. Of course, they can only be found on higher difficulties like 7, 8, and 9, but once you reach that, keep that in mind. One thing that you might want to start doing is calling in support weapons from the very beginning, because 1, they have a cooldown, and 2, once you actually want to use them, you will have to wait somewhere around 10 seconds to actually get them on the ground. Oh, and trust me, when you see 5 Bile Titans in one place, you will not want to wait for that railgun. Okay, I saw a lot of discussions going on around this topic, but Terminids are definitely easier to deal with than automatons. Terminids do not shoot back and have to get close to kill you. For example, if there is a bug breach, you can always start running to the opposite direction and not look back, because these bugs have to catch up to you.
But then of course these fucking hunters!
Automatons, however, will keep shooting you from even a mile away. Also, if you didn't know, automatons actually have tanks and huge cannons in some of their bases that will one-shot you. So you might want to keep that in mind next time you're dropping. So if you've been playing with those Eagle stratagems that you can get at the console at your ship, you might have noticed that there's actually an additional stratagem which is called Eagle Rearm, used for reloading all of your Eagle stratagems. Once reloaded, you can use all of your Eagles again. Of course, it takes time, around 2, maybe 3 minutes, so you might want to be clear of enemies when doing that, but I hope it gives you the right idea of how it works. In the game, there is actually only one single stratagem which has limited uses, and that is the orbital laser. Every single other stratagem can be reused again and again. For example, the autocannon, as I just mentioned, all Eagles, any other orbital stratagem, or even sentries. Orbital laser is the only stratagem that has 3 uses, and that's it. You're done. So simply be mindful when using it. So if you've already played a few missions, you should have noticed that there's actually an additional optional objective called SCF Artillery, where you need to bring shells into the objective, which you can actually use later on. There are actually 5 types of shells that can be found around the objective area. So the first one is high yield explosive, which is red. Then there's napalm, which is also red but just slightly different, which actually works insanely well against the bugs. Then we have the static shell, which is blue, and the last two are smoke shell and mini nuke, which both are yellow. So just be mindful of which one you're picking up. Smoke shell actually works surprisingly well against automatons because once the smoke drops, automatons cannot see you and therefore shoot you through the smoke. And, well, mini nuke, I think it speaks for itself. The first one that you slot in will be the first one shot out when you use the stratagem. I didn't realize it the first time I played it, but it's definitely going to be useful if you're not running a lot of heavy artillery of your own. Of course, don't rely that there's going to be SCF Artillery optional objective by bringing backpacks, support guns, and other stuff into the mission, because you might not find it. Did you know that some support weapons can actually be reloaded by your teammates? I believe there's around 10 support weapons in general, but there's only 3 that can be reloaded by your teammates, which is spear, autocannon, and recoilless rifle. Once you call them in, on one side of the pod there will be a gun, and on the other side there will be a backpack. Of course, you can take them both, but you can actually get the gun yourself and give the backpack to your friend. What happens then is your friend gets a prompt to reload the weapon when he's near you, which makes it way faster. So if there's multiple enemies swarming you and you don't have time to reload, and of course if your friend is not running any other backpack, you can use this strategy to clear loads and loads and loads of enemies. And the last one, it's not really a tip, but I feel like I should say it for the sake of the game. Don't be a meta slave, have some fun, play with what you want to play. If you feel that you like a certain gun or stratagem, use it, because they're all useful. Games like these are supposed to be for fun, not to sweat your ass off by tryharding. I already saw some people in the official Helldivers Discord flaming the developers for nerfing the railgun and the backpack with the shield on it, so try not to be one of those people who gets upset for getting their toy taken. Cause look, I get it, some guns can be way more fun than others. Hell, I've been playing Breaker and Railgun since I got them. But when developers decide to change something, maybe it's time to try something new. Maybe find that laser cannon which already started to grow some mold on it. Or maybe try the primary laser, you know, the pew pew thing. On the last note, I believe if you cannot change the course of action, you can always change your reaction. So just try out new things, maybe you'll find your personal gem. So these are the things that I myself actually found useful by playing the game, so I really hope you will too. And if there was at least one thing that you found useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more content. I will be making a video of more advanced Helldivers 2 tips and tricks, so you can stay tuned for that. Oh, and by the way, I stream on Twitch a few days a week, so come over and say hi. I would really appreciate it.
You better be liberating those planets, soldier.